4 creepy online dating stories. These stories have been sent in by viewers or by friends of mine. Their experiences vary, and it serves as a warning to be safe online. I hope you enjoy this, as it is a first on my channel. Story 1. ICQ Creeper. Hey, so I'm in my late 30s now. This story takes place when I was a teen, and when we just got the internet, so it was pretty new. My parents were pretty controlling about when and where I could go out. I used to lie and tell them I was doing schoolwork on the computer so that they would just leave me alone. I had several instant messaging accounts that I would use. My favourite ones were ICQ and AOL Messenger. And I would go into the chat rooms. Sometimes you'd have to deal with creeps in there, but it was easy enough to block them. It was a slow night and all my friends were busy with whatever they were doing. A message popped up from a mutual friend with a simple, "Hey," and I answered back, innocently enough. The friend, Jack, knew one of my friends, and that was how we ended up talking. We spoke a little before, nothing serious though. As we got talking, I found we had a lot of similar tastes in music, movies, and art. It was nice talking to him. It was getting late and I had school the next day, so I told him I needed to go and get some sleep. He said something like, "Aw, don't go," but I had to go. I said goodbye and logged off. The next day, I didn't get back online until later in the evening. When I opened up my AOL, I saw I had a lot of messages. Normally I'd have a couple at least, but this was a surprise. About 80% of them were from him. They ranged from asking if he had done anything wrong, demanding to know why I didn't want to speak with him, and I had to admit I felt extremely uncomfortable reading them. Still, he was a friend of a friend, so I didn't want to cause any problems. I told him I needed to go to sleep and that he didn't do anything wrong. I can't remember how quickly he answered, but he said that he missed me. We barely knew each other. Our conversation had gone well, but this was getting to be too much. I had an unsettled feeling in my stomach. I didn't say this though. I think I said something along the lines of, "Aw." It was pretty weird, but I ended up ignoring it. The conversation moved on. We started talking about how our days went. More of my friends came online, and naturally I wanted to talk with them, so my responses to Jack got slower. Then he began to get agitated with me. I asked my friend if he was always like this. She said she didn't really speak to him much. Since he wasn't actually a friend, I decided to block him and thought that would be the end of it. I went to watch a movie with my parents and came back to find a new account had added me. It looked similar to the type that my friends would have. Remember the whole XD raw phase? I added the account and said hello. Immediately the person asked why I blocked them. I asked who it was and instantly told them to leave me alone. Blocked. Again. They tried to add me with a different account. Again, blocked. This went on for days. Weeks even. This isn't the scariest story that happened when I was younger, but it really freaked me out at the time. Stay safe out there. Story 2. The Coming Out Creeper. I was shy in my younger years and had a lot of trouble talking to girls. I'm a lesbian, and it took me a lot of years to not only realize this, but to feel ready and safe to come out of the closet. Funnily enough, this incident is what encouraged me to get out there and not rely on technology to find someone. There were a lot of teen dating chat rooms that were available back in the day. Sure, my friends and I would joke that it was mainly filled with pervs, but that didn't stop us. Sometimes it was a lot of fun to mess with them and see what we could get away with. I'd actually made a couple of friends in those chat rooms. They knew about my sexuality and I didn't need to hide it anymore. It felt like I could finally breathe in a way that I couldn't in my real life. We'd all send photos to each other. Usually it was just us making silly faces or things. In the end though, it turned into flirty pictures, and finally, one of my friends asked me if I liked her. I think I sent back a blushing emoji. She pushed me to tell her and I finally admitted it. I was nervous. I could see that she was typing something. And finally she told me that she liked me too. I breathed a sigh of relief and we kept talking more. After a couple of weeks she became my girlfriend. My first one, and I had plans to go meet her in the city. I live in a pretty rural and conservative area, so the idea of going into the city and being out was definitely exciting. I arrived and I went to meet her at the place we both agreed to meet up. I waited for about 20 minutes and wondered if she stood me up. I texted her, and to my relief she told me she was running late. I told her to hurry and sat waiting. I was excited. Someone approached me, and it was someone I didn't expect. A middle-aged man walked over to me and greeted me with my name. I was confused. Who the fuck was this? Hi? I'm Jessica's dad. She isn't feeling well. What the fuck? I didn't know what to say, so I just said, oh, okay. I was texting her, and she said she was still coming to meet me? Yeah, he said. She sent me ahead to come get you and bring you back to the hotel, he answered. Something inside me knew this wasn't normal. She and I had agreed to meet here, and there was absolutely no mention of a hotel before. Not to mention her dad. I looked around to see if anyone could help me. People seemed oblivious, and I didn't want to be rude. No. I wanted to meet with her first, I replied. Then he said this. Come on, you don't want to hurt her feelings, do you? I didn't want to hurt her feelings, just this was weird. My hand was in my bag and I sent Jessica a text. I heard his phone vibrate. He had the phone. He had Jessica's phone. He froze for a moment and just stood there. I don't have much of a poker face, so it would have been obvious that I was freaking out about something. I have to go, I said, immediately stood up and walked away. She didn't try and call me. I got so many texts from her later on though, ranging from please go with my dad to complaining that she wanted to meet me. She said I was paranoid. I was on edge all the way home. I had to be careful to make sure I wasn't being followed. I told my parents and just said I was meeting a friend, not my girlfriend. We called the police and made a report but didn't hear anything more about it. When I got back to my computer, the account was gone. One good thing though, a couple of months later I came out and it felt amazing. I don't hide who I am anymore, and I never will again. Story 3. OkCupid. A lot of my friends had started to dabble in online dating, while I was more traditional. I preferred to meet someone face to face from the start in order to see whether or not I was interested in them. After a lot of pestering, I decided to take some pictures and make a profile. One of my friends found a nice guy on there, so I figured it was worth a shot. 3 of my single friends and I all joined to make profiles. When I logged in next, I found I had a heap of messages from people. And hilariously, the same guy messaged all my single friends and we had a bit of fun teasing him. Eventually the excitement and jokes wore off for my friends, but it became a habit for me. I would receive messages from people who I wasn't into. On the site you could set an age limit for the types of people you wished to contact you. My maximum age at the time was 28. I received a message. This happened quite a long time ago, so it's not exact. Hey, if you weren't 19, you'd be perfect. How would you like to meet an older goth? We're close and in the same area. I remembered staring at the message in confusion. He was 40, well beyond what I wanted or needed at the time. I didn't answer him. The next day, he asked if my name was Hannah and if I knew his brother, Paul. What the fuck? I don't know why I answered. I said no with a question mark. We got talking some more and he seemed okay. Looking back, he would mimic answers that I would give him and agreed to whatever I said. I didn't want anything more from him. We had a friendship and that was it. Eventually, he suggested that I add him to MSN, and that was my mistake. I did. We talked for a while and he kept wanting to meet up with me. Something inside me warned me that this was a bad idea. It didn't sound like he had a lot of people in his life who cared about him. His family sounded absolutely terrible. I agreed and decided to go see a movie. It meant that if I didn't like him, I could ignore him and focus on the movie. So, we went to see a movie. I can't remember which one it was. Again, I made sure he knew I was only meeting him as a friend and nothing more. I also made sure I paid for my own food. I didn't want to give him the wrong impression. We had some lunch afterwards and hung out. I had a nagging feeling I shouldn't have been there with him. He started to complain about everything. He cried. I've always been a bit of a softie, but a part of me didn't feel like this was a legitimate cry. And I told him he wasn't a bad person. I didn't know what else to say. But I comforted him, and he seemed to appreciate that. Every so often he would make little snide comments about the way I looked. He mentioned my weight, and I certainly wasn't overweight at the time. Or comments about my hair, little things. Things I look back on now, and they were a bit of a warning sign. I don't know why, but I made a mistake and let him drive me home. Not around the corner to my actual house. He leaned in for a kiss, and I practically leapt out of the car. He wanted to walk me to the door and come inside for some coffee. I told him I didn't want to and that my dad was home anyway. It didn't end there. He kept talking to me and I was slowly trying to ghost him. I should have just blocked him. We got into a disagreement about something and I told him I had to get ready to go out to dinner with my family. I heard my phone ring and checked it. It was him. I put my phone on silent and ignored him. I've always been weird about using my phone when I'm in the company of other people. So there was a full 3 or 4 hours where I didn't even look at my phone. When it was time to leave the restaurant, I checked my phone and saw that the memory was full. Now, this was a long time ago. Phones didn't have as much storage space. It was disturbing though. I got countless messages from him, asking where I was, if I was angry with him, promising not to be a dick, calling me all sorts of names, telling me he loved me, telling me that he wanted to hurt me, and I was sitting there reading them in silence. What the actual fuck? He called me and I answered. I told him that I was fine, and he was crying loudly enough for everyone in the car to hear. My dad laughed at him. When I got home, I blocked him, and he came around to my house, demanding to see me. I slammed the door in his face and told him to fuck off. He tried it again, and my dad answered the door with a tire iron and threatened to kill him. He got the hint after that, and I never saw him again. Occasionally, he would reach out to try to contact me. Guys, stay safe online, and block when you feel the need. Story 4. Trying it out.
I'm a 30-year-old male. I was having a bit of a dry patch with dating. I broke up with my fiancée and I was absolutely crushed by it. I found out that she had been cheating on me through the last 6 months of the relationship. I didn't want or need anything serious. I mainly wanted to see what was out there. Maybe find a friend or something. I made a profile, matched with a couple of women who I was attracted to, and liked their profiles. It was a mixed result. Some of the women seemed to like me, and others weren't really all that interested. It happened though. One of the women seemed nice, and at first, let's call her Julie. She worked as a nurse and was pretty busy. Given my job and other commitments, that worked well for me. I didn't want someone who could potentially become too clingy. Julie and I messaged each other, exchanged some pics, and talked to each other. She had a nice voice. I didn't tell her where I worked, but I didn't realize she managed to find where I worked. I work as a lawyer in a local law firm. She came to my workplace. We hadn't even gone on a date or met up yet. I wasn't happy to see her. I came out and spoke to her and politely asked her not to come to my workplace again, and that it made me uncomfortable. She agreed that it wasn't the best, and things seemed to be going okay. I was completely put off by her behavior that I decided not to have anything to do with her. I sent her a message later that day and told Julie that I didn't want to talk to her anymore. Looking back, I should have just ghosted her and left it at that. I removed her and blocked her. The next day I go into the office and the security guy walked up to me. He told me that my friend was back again. When I turned to look at her, she was waiting outside the company property, just staring at me. I told the security officer that I wanted nothing to do with her and to keep her away. He agreed, and I started noticing her around more and more. Eventually, I put her out of my head and found a woman I got along with. She's always made me smile, and I decided it was time to give it a go. We went on a couple of dates together, and after a month or so of dating, we decided to date. Things were going well. She called me and sounded upset when I answered. She asked if I was cheating on her, and this took me by surprise. No, I answered her. She told me that someone called Julie messaged her on Facebook and told her that we were together. My girlfriend believed me and told her to fuck off. She kept trying to contact her, and then nothing. It took months of Julie harassing my girlfriend before she finally disappeared. I don't know why or how. I don't care. All I'm happy about is Julie being out of my life.
I would like to thank my guest, GenSen. Please check him out, he's an awesome narrator. I hope you enjoyed this, my little spooklings. Let me know if this is the content you'd like to see more of in the future. Please check out my merch and my Patreon. I would also like to welcome the first Spookling tier patron, Lady Nevermore, and I'd like to thank her along with my other Patreon supporters. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Stay safe, my little spooklings. And remember, I'll be watching you.